if you're not connecting with the Lord regularly, if you're not learning what he has for you, if you're not cultivating your relationship with him, if he's not your primary source of spiritual nutrition, of internal health and emotional and mental stability, don't ask for it from your wife. You're out of line. If you haven't connected to the Lord and spent time praying with him, okay, don't ask for sex.
Welcome to Authenticity. I'm here with my guest, Ben Shelton.
Hi.
How are you doing, Ben?
Doing well. Pleasure to be here.
So, we're going to dive right in. First off, why you? You're like, why me? I don't know.
I don't know. I questioned that myself.
Today, we're talking about just a variety of subjects, but it all is going to center around just a mentally healthy, sound man.
Right. Which brought the question again.
Why you?
Why me?
And so I can add into that. Just the last maybe year or two. I could be wrong on the time frame, but maybe the last year or two, I have just witnessed you have an increased passion. Is that a good word of saying?
Yeah,
passion.
I like it.
Increased passion to invest in men becoming mentally healthy, sound men of God, if you want to tag on the extra importance of that. So am I correct in what I've seen?
No, that is, that's right. That's right. And that is, that stems from work that's been going on in the background, probably since about 2000 and let's see, no, not 2000, 2022, 2021. Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of years in the background and then it started coming.
So there was a lot of things that had to get undone and restitched and rebuilt.
You mean personally in you?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the part that, just to say it, just is the suckiest part of anything I feel like God has ever called me to do is the background work that has to happen first.
It's
and
the foundation work. Yeah.
So it's almost like you get this initial, excitement / dread. Oh, the Lord's calling me to do something. I really am passionate about this. And then it's like, wham.
Right. Yeah.
Now let's take you apart piece by piece till you honestly don't know if you have the energy to get up.
You're all psyched up to do it until you're like,
here we go.
Yeah.
Well, the reason this is on my mind and has been on my mind is, there could be the obvious reasons I live a life alongside men.
Sure.
So whether that's in the church, fathers, brothers, my sons, or it's in ministry, or if it's in marriage, one way or the other, I, as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, friend, all this kind of thing, I'm going to be interacting, with men. And
I'm sorry about that, but it is a necessary evil.
If you want to say it just a few more times.
Well, I am. I am sorry that
I'm
you
kidding,
have to put up with us.
No, I mean,
we are a strange breed.
I am a person that actually believes. I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday. A couple of years ago, my daughter wrote a song called Good Men in response to an entire society that's saying you are all bad.
Yes. Yeah.
And she decided,
it's a great song.
She decided to stand up and say, no, I refuse to believe that.
Yeah.
That's not the case. And so it is this thing of, I may have been a witness to, I may have walked alongside, I may have been even hurt by a man that did not choose the right thing. But yet I'm going to hold on to, if God designed you.
Yeah.
And in the Southern way, he designed.
Right. Yes.
It came out with an extra syllable.
It's all right.
If God designed you, then I'm going to believe that he's good. He's going to make something good.
Right. And
so with that being just the thoughts that are floating around in my head, and then I'm also one of those people who I'm going to look at anybody and go, man, you've got potential. How do we get you to your potential? And so anytime it's like, how do I come alongside in whatever way that God has called me in that person's life and say, how do I play my part to say, I believe that God made you good. And then what can I then do as a woman to support that or encourage that or to get out of the way of that sometimes, which is a very hard concept. So that is why I just wanted to address this topic.
All right.
Don't even know exactly where all we'll go with it. We've already decided. I wanted so desperately to find the retro taboo buzzer.
Oh, yeah.
And bring that along today.
I think we have. Yeah, we do. We
have that game. Have communicated that because that sound right there is.
Yes, well, I remember we have this because we played it within the last year.
Oh, that's crazy.
But my daughter would jump, at the sound. Yeah.
So it's that thing of you and I are both people that don't tend to run from subjects, and I was like, do we need a censor buzzer?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty much an open book, and there are times that it should probably be closed, and I'm like, well,
here we go. There's always editors after the fact, right?
Post-production rules.
Well, I want to present this out there and see where it goes.
Okay.
I probably my entire life, I have grown up in the church. I've been in Sundays.
I should also apologize for that. I have as well.
There are some things that also had to be unlearned and healed. Great benefits, but there were some things. Yeah. I mean, we grew up, I'm a little bit older than you, I believe, but we grew up in the 80s. We'll just leave that off there. Okay. Although I'm very comfortable with it. I've grown up in so many environments. Like it could be a Sunday morning service. It could be a conference, marriage conference, you name it. I've attended so many things like that over the year where so often I'll have a man from the pulpit say to the entire audience, is bacon. I told you I'd bring in bacon today. All men need, if we, the safest way to talk to a man is to talk about bacon. What'd you catch last week? Yeah. What'd you shoot? How, it's anything with the hoo-ah, type at the end. And so I, as a woman, will listen to this as the audience of men erupt into, that's right. And then, it's keep him well loved up and well fed. And man, he's good to go. He's a happy, whole man. And I have heard this presented from the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like you're not actually getting it out there in the culture of the world. You are getting this from the church. Mm-hmm. So I grew up as a child hearing that, but then witnessing men that would have all that and still not be healthy men, whole men. Yeah. And then I went on to be taught that was how I was supposed to love and communicate with a man. Yeah. But then I became a woman that was now trying to interact and connect and comfort a man that was not whole in different areas. Yeah. And so it's like trying to connect those dots.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do it. What you said was for a man to be healthy and whole. Yeah, there's a difference between satiated and healthy and whole. You can go pig out on all kinds of junk food and be satiated, but you are not healthy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it is not, you're not in your best, physical shape or form or what have you. So you can live by that. Mm-hmm. But that's not healthy and whole. And it's incomplete, because it doesn't require vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And, a man as a leader cannot fully lead if he is not vulnerable. Mm-hmm. If he does not have the element of vulnerability, which has to be challenged, which has to be accessed, and it should be able to be safely done so by a spouse. But if he does not have that, or if it's inaccessible, and mine was hidden and inaccessible for years, there is no way to be whole. And it doesn't matter how much you feed him or how much you do him, it's not going to be enough long term. It's just not.
And so with that, I just call it like this, that disconnect. I keep using the word connect and disconnect. When that is just was such the disconnect to me that if I'm doing A, B, and C that I've been taught to do, if I'm doing the things that I saw an entire audience many, many times of men erupt in, exactly. That's all I need.
Yes.
But yet you then behind the scenes see that same man broken. Yeah. In all the myriad of emotions that would come with that or various things. So it was crazy to be like, that's all they need. But yet I'm witnessing it's evidently not enough. Yeah. And so I'm trying to, I guess what I want you to maybe touch on is why? Why is that being presented and continued? Why is that being perpetuated as the way to go?
Because it's safe.
Okay.
Because it doesn't require the vulnerability that I mentioned earlier. It's going back to the food example. It's like, that would be like saying in a room full of kids that, your parents should just feed you chicken nuggets. Who's not going to cheer?
Yeah.
As a kid. I'm 45. I mean, I'd entertain the thought,
Yeah. And to touch base on that releases the parent from the responsibility of doing anything different.
Right.
And so if you, I'm just going to jump off the deep end here.
Uh-oh.
If you are saying that from the pulpit, or you are, pushing this as this is God's truth,
right.
that is not you having to step up to your responsibility to look at that dead in the eye and say, you've been sold falsehoods.
Yeah. That is unhealthy and anemic leadership reproducing after its own kind. Yeah. And it's the true pandemic, is the emaciated man and the emaciated male leader.
Terminology. Yeah.
There's lots of them out there, lots of them willing to do a good job, but they've been taught that that's all they need as well too. It's been going on for a long time.
It's a cycle that has not been broken.
We need.
Yeah.
When you get into more depth and the vulnerability component, and you're able to actually truly pair that with your natural strengths. See, vulnerability makes room for the Lord to do his work, right? So if you're not vulnerable, okay, because was it Timothy? In our strengthness, in our weakness, his strength is made perfect.
Yes.
Right. So we have to give him our weaknesses. Okay. He pairs with that. The Lord pairs with that. And then we have his strength in that area. Okay. So what we wound up, where we are weak, that's where we make room. That gets filled in, that gets taken care of, that gets reinforced by the strength of the Lord. That's how the partnership has grit and things to hold on to. If we had no need of him, if we didn't have any weaknesses, why would we need him? Where does he get to show out for us? Right. Yeah. We're not assets for the Lord. We do things for him. He does things through us. He is an asset for us. He wants to show out and show up for us.
I want to give vocabulary to, if there's a man out there, or the women who are listening that are like, this is what I've witnessed. This is what I'm living with. I do all the A, B, and C's. It's not enough. I'm seeing the broken side of him, but yet out there he's doing the hoorah. Yes, that's all I need type thing. I want to give the vocabulary, and it makes me, one of the things the issue with all of this is I believe men are lacking the vocabulary to express where they feel the deficit. Even the word feel kind of sounds awkward when you're going to be like, what is a man supposed to communicate that he's going through? And one of the things that makes me fuming, just so boiling on the inside, even when I think about it, is if I have to take my car to a mechanic, and I, as a woman, I know I was raised around mechanics. I know full well the terminology for various things, but I may not have every word for it.
Sure.
So I, as a woman, can go to a male mechanic, and I can say this and this are what I suspect is wrong.
Right.
But then I throw in one little thing that isn't the correct vocabulary. And within an instant, I'm diminished down to sweetheart.
Yes.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And nothing makes me angrier than that. And so what that ends up doing is I don't want to communicate with that mechanic. Yeah. I do not want to have to go to him with my issue, with my deficit, with something I don't fully understand, but it's broken. Yeah. How do I do that if all I'm going to do is feel like an idiot, feel shame, feel dismissed because I didn't have the correct vocabulary? Right. And I picture that when I think of communicating with men that do not have the correct vocabulary.
Right.
Because men will talk all day long about that thing, fishing, grilling, that. They will talk all day long about work, especially work that they feel that they are doing a great job at. But then it comes time to talk about where they feel broken. Yep. And suddenly, in their attempt to try to get that out, they feel just like I do when I go to that mechanic. Yeah. They may get a couple things out, But then that one thing
Mm-hmm.
just causes the shutdown.
Right. Because they heard something from you and it gave them, you didn't do anything to necessarily misrepresent yourself. What they heard, they have a poor definition of how you showed up, right?
Yeah.
Of your knowledge, of your capacity, and inside of a relationship, a husband will do that. But again, we've been taught that we only need, these
check the checks off. Yeah.
But that also gives us a very poor idea of a spouse's purpose.
Yeah.
All right. So not only do we misidentify and assume that we can get by on just these
here's good food, here's good sex, here's good this, and now I don't even need to attempt to go to her for anything
then
else.
You see her for as to fill those needs, but the needs are much more varied and they're much more connective. There's so much more depth that's accessible there. You said vocabulary, and the interesting thing is, my wife not too long ago asked me, she said, well, tell me what you feel about this. And I stated the problem, and I told her everything, and I went through and I said, this thing and this thing. And if that just wasn't like this, then it would be, okay. And I was 100% right.
But how did you feel about
right. And then she said, I'm really trying to connect with you here.
Yeah.
And is at a place where, and have restructured a lot of stuff in our world. And she's at a place where she's like, I'm offering a bid for connection here. What am I? I did
all the things that I was supposed to do for this conversation.
Right now, and indignant. I'm like, well, you're just not listening. That's what I'm, I'm thinking. Obviously, I'm not dumb enough to say it, at least not like that.
I met your wife. I wouldn't be that dumb to say that.
Right. Yeah. So, no, she says, feeling you didn't, and then so I started down the path again. And I said, well, this thing happened and this was the problem that it created. What I learned, what she pointed out, is I don't have any words for feelings.
Yeah.
So literally, and hopefully through the magic of post-production, we can offer the feeling wheel, which is a series of the core elements with all the subwords that are different ways of expressing variants of those feelings.
How are you as a man willing to even look at something called the feeling wheel?
Well, there's been a lot of practicing, and we can go back to 2021 and starting therapy.
So those were those behind the scenes couple years.
Because you think you have it all together. I just thought, all right, fine. I'll make the wife happy. I'll go to this counselor. She's only been asking me to do it for, 10 years. And
it just takes time.
Right. Yeah. So finally I got around to it. And I was like, oh, yeah. So, couple months. Yeah, it was nice. And it was nice to talk to her. And then we got outside of that dry layer of the onion. Mm-hmm. And we started
the one that kept you coming in the door because you felt like I can do this and I'll do it well. Yeah.
Right. And then we got into those layers that, And I felt myself trying to dodge.
I was about to say, what kept you from running?
Well, there had been enough positive experience with the therapy stuff and just explaining and walking through things. But honestly, it's because I had a captive audience and someone that wasn't trying to fix me at the same time. It was someone to listen. Yeah. I'm not saying that wives sit there and listen to others and try to fix it, but we as humans want to offer a solution when someone tells us a problem.
I have been kind of ruminating on this picture in my mind the last couple of weeks. And it was something that the Holy Spirit brought to my mind in working on my behind the scenes stuff, is that the Lord has created me to be a helpmeet for my husband. Mm-hmm. We do not have time, nor do I have the knowledge, the biblical knowledge to break that down today. I feel like I need to spend some more time on that one before I get too deep into it. Yeah, I know a couple people that are extremely intelligent and practice in theology, and they would be like, Heather, that was not it. So for right now, I'm going to keep this a little bit surface layer on the subject. But if he created me to be a helpmeet, and I know down in the deepest parts of me that is not limited to I'm to do his dishes. Not that I don't mind the seasons, but that it's not limited to that. Yeah. That in just scratching the surface of studying what it means to be a helpmeet, that the Lord in the Bible actually uses the words that are equivalent to a shield. Mm-hmm. a protector, which we assign that to the men the whole time.
Yep.
And so I've just been kind of going, Lord, if you called me to be a helpmeet, and I'm frustrated because I know it's more than, again, those boxes that we have created that we're just supposed to check off.
Yeah.
If I know that there's more, because you were like saying a minute ago, our husbands are saying, hey, we've got these boxes. I'm not even looking to her to fill anything else.
Yep.
And then, so he's not getting what he needs in the marriage. She's feeling like I have more I could bring to the table, but I can't.
Right.
And so it is this thing of the picture he gave me is that as a helpmeet, and this is the part that's very important, in spending time with him, the Lord, and studying his word and waiting also for the Holy Spirit to work on me.
Right.
In that process, there are times that he gave me this picture of a bomb, a truth bomb. Okay? There are times that he's going to hand me as a wife, the helpmeet, a truth bomb.
Yes.
That I could then give to my husband. But how he took that further was, I think wives, where they have handled this incorrectly, is they think, I'm not only to hand him the truth bomb, I'm the one that has to detonate it. Right. I'm the one that has to decide how far it goes and then what it's going to deconstruct and what it's going to construct in its place 5 years down the road from now.
Right.
So the reason your husband goes running away from you coming at him, even if it is initially very gentle, is because you're coming at him with a 5-year scenario without even having handed him that little truth bomb first.
Yes.
And so it made me begin to realize I need to start looking at it. And my job is, the Lord, you gave me something. I'm not unnecessary in this marriage. I bring something to the table.
Absolutely.
This could also be with sons.
Yeah.
With, various, as a married female, I'm going to be more restricted on how many men I'm speaking deeply into, but sometimes that's from a speaker standpoint. I get a little more of an audience in that area, but it's generally, I'm not going to have close relationships with several men. But anytime I'm dealing with a man and I feel like the Lord is like, here, I want you to share this with him. I now picture it as the only thing he first told me was hand it.
Yeah.
And then, Lord, am I supposed to light it? Do I go even a step further?
Right.
Or am I supposed to now be quiet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because somewhere along the way, God is going to place someone in his life to light it.
Yep.
Or in his personal time with me, I myself will light that bomb. Yep. I will decide. Or maybe in his accountability with other men, they can then talk about, where does this go? What needs to come down with this bomb? What needs to be rebuilt? So it's just giving me imagery.
Right.
That's pretty powerful for me.
So women are very good at seeing, especially women that have looked at, okay, there's more to this. There's something deeper. So they're very good at seeing there's more to this. All right. And you see some truth. Well, you've got the husband that doesn't want to see the truth because that requires vulnerability to accept it. You have to acknowledge that, well, this means that there are things that are wrong with me, with us, with
and I am not capable of facing all that. I don't know how to fix it. Or
certainly don't feel capable or ready.
Yeah.
And it's okay because you're probably not capable and not ready, but that's where, you draw on the Lord. That I had gotten to the point of, I'm good with the Lord. I mean, I went to Bible school. I'm good.
Yep.
So I don't need more of the Lord. I have the sufficient amount. I have what I need, and kind of lived from that place. And if any struggle was greater than what I could handle, it simply meant that the Lord was just, that was my cross to bear.
For yourself.
For myself.
So it's like the Lord has met me at the capacity that I know him.
Yeah.
And everything above and beyond that is now on me.
Right. I put him in the nice little tidy box because it didn't have to wear him. It meant I just accepted that whatever was going on, this was clearly the will of the Lord, and I will not buck it. The Lord is sovereign. None of that is incorrect, except that if that's what you're using to hide behind, that's keeping the truth from getting to you. Yeah. And then you don't you don't afford the Lord the opportunity to go, yes, I'm sovereign. And you've also got your head in the sand, and let me help you. And so, the Lord is sovereign. It sounds really good to say that. I said it a lot, but I did not say the Lord is showing me this. I brought this to the Lord and this is what he told me. Those weren't things that I said.
You didn't say them because you had not truly walked that out.
Because to bring up that I am deficient or can't see something, that says that I'm weak as a man, weak as a leader,
And so that brings us back to one of the main questions that I had presented to you about this podcast was, is that really a man's main question? Is he literally born with the question of, do I have what it takes to fill in the blank? Am I enough?
If a man knows what he is supposed to do in life, then that is going to be a leading question. They can ask that question and you can get hung up on asking that question, but it's the wrong question because you really need to be asking and determining what is actually behind the Jeremiah 29:11, the thoughts and the plans that the Lord has for us. If you don't know those, and you're not constantly honing in on what the Lord has for you now and next, you're always going to feel insufficient.
Okay, I want to slow down and pause here for a minute. That is so deeply ingrained in me. So I even have to have a minute to unlearn that's not. So that could be a man's main question, but you're telling me that's not the question that needs to be asked.
No.
What needs to be asked, you're saying, is, do you know the plans the Lord has for you and his thoughts of you?
If you don't, how do you know? If the Lord was, if I thought I was supposed to be a surgeon, I would feel very, very insufficient. I'm not a surgeon. I don't have steady enough hands. I'm cool under pressure, but I'm not that cool under pressure with someone's life, No, that's not my thing. But if I'm hung up on that, I'm insufficient at whatever I think it is I'm supposed to do. Work things as a husband, as a dad, just look what I think I should be doing or how it should look, because we have these expectations that we haven't gotten from the Lord. We've set them for ourselves. And then we're like, they're these false measures. And then somehow we're falling short of the expectations we've set for ourselves. Well, what about the Lord? What expectations does he have for us? And when you're seeking that from him, he also shows you the next step and the next step and the next step. And it helps satisfy that feeling of insufficiency. And because you have progress and you have connection, what men really want beyond anything else is to experience connection. That's why they love sex, because it does breed intimacy.
Yeah.
And even if it's not with your spouse, there is a spiritual connection. That's why you're only supposed to have sex with your spouse. Okay. But men, if they don't know where they're going, they're always going to ask, they're going to feel lost and they're going to assume that they're not enough.
All of this as a female, especially the culture I've been raised in, it's like, I now know I'm going to have to go back and listen to this podcast for myself. Not because you're saying too much, because you're literally saying words that are food for a woman's soul. Because we already know this.
Yes.
We know it so well that I think what we spend most of our time like warring at our husbands or our fathers or our sons, we're warring with them because we're like, you don't realize we're trying to tell you this is what you're hungry for. Yeah. But because you don't have the vocabulary for it, but because you have not experienced it, you cannot know that is what you're lacking. Yeah. And so every conversation, just like you said that you had with Dina, your wife, where you're like, these are all the problems. This is what happened, step 2. And she's like, but what are you feeling? Yep. It's like you could not on your own realize there was a portion of this that you weren't accessing. Yep. And so instead of it becoming widely accepted and just common language that a man is truly hungry for connection, we are going to keep having these kind of communication breakdowns in our marriage. We're going to keep having men that are out there chasing the next whatever it is because they have been told that's what's going to make them feel or have the word. It's connected, but they don't even know that that's what they're searching for. Yeah. And so a minute ago, I had a thought. We're going to hope it didn't completely derail. Here we go.
All right.
I'm just going to put this out there and see if it connects me back to where, if I say connect one more time.
There you go.
We need a synonym, Heather. Okay. I'm I'm a firm believer in the barn building community.
Okay.
I grew up somewhat in it.
Okay.
25, 30 years ago, it was more common to see on a weekend, men out in the yard working together on a project. Yeah. While they were doing that, you have the women probably working on a project, or hanging out and having coffee while they're, feeding the men, whatever it is. Yeah. The homonym came to mind.
There we go.
Okay. You were like, I was not expecting homonym to come out of your mouth. Okay. Yeah. Homonym came to mind of bear and bear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you would not have men showing up for a barn building opportunity if you did not bear yourself to these men that you had a need.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you allowed them to come in and bear it along with you.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the greatest deficits happening right now. And so the grilling and the fishing and the golf and the whatever it is, those are not necessarily wrong.
No.
But they ultimately need to have connection happening. You know what I'm saying?
Somewhere in there, we've I think guys have kind of said, all right, I'm a man if I, play golf, if I grill, whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. But it's if I go, I really feel lost and confused on this and, and want to share that with someone, a therapist, their wife, another guy, that it's like, this is the worst thing that you can do because you would appear weak.
Because that is the portion like you were talking about that's above and beyond what God's got covered. Now it's time for you to cover it.
Right.
Yeah.
And, social media has just undermined and destroyed what a real masculinity is, because it gives you these snapshot glimpses of guys in the gym, guys out on the water hauling in huge fish in $100,000 bass boats and and all this stuff. And that's really cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But then
you're going to go stand by Gladewater Lake with your fishing pole.
Right.
Maybe not you. We know you got a boat, but I'm just saying that's not everybody's story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But, and even my boat, the funny thing about that is I was raised with a boat, this little fishing boat. It was a piece of crap boat. It was awful, but it was a boat, and we tried to use it as a ski boat. I grew up wanting to that's what we wanted to do. So when it was time to get a boat, it was for the family, and it was to do, water sport things. That's what we do. We're kind of growing out quickly of that, Banks senior and, and so, and Everly's, they're just really busy on the weekends and stuff. So, but now I'm like, I kind of like a fishing boat. There's seasons
for each,
for that. Yeah. Right. But but the boat didn't fix anything. And I had expectations of, I was good and doing what I should as a husband and a father and as a servant of the Lord, if he would just let me have a boat. That's not right. Why would that be a thing? But this is what I'd come to in my own head. I didn't offer
I don't think that's unique to you, though.
No,
that's
Lord,
common
no.
Things coming out of somebody's mouth. Yeah. I will know that he has blessed me. Yeah. I have been enough. I have arrived if I have this to prove it.
The Lord wants to tell men, tell anybody, but he wants to tell men that you are enough because he created you. Okay. Now, can you do everything that he's called you to do? Again, no, but that's the point, because you need him. So you need to run out of your own capacity so that you have to rely on his. That's how I found myself in therapy. I ran out of my own capacity and I wasn't doing well. And I'm now like, it's not like I'm swimming long distances. I'm maybe slightly above dog paddle, right?
I call it nostrils above waterline.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the things that I've said here that may have, made you think something differently. This is not an expert.
You have not arrived completely.
I am regurgitating what I have learned in class earlier today, so,
Well, I was going to say last week, but you're learning today too.
Yeah. So yes.
Okay. Well, I have just looked at it. I've taken it one step further. That in if we go back to talking about the barn raising scenario,
right. Those
where
were good times too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they can't come back around to a certain degree. But in that not occurring, what has also happened is that's kept those women from gathering. And so men, I just, that's another step that my mind went to, was that by men not realizing they need to bear where they're at,
Yeah.
to have others help them bear it,
Yeah.
the Lord and other people, especially men, that sets a precedent that kind of keeps women from getting to flow in line with that, if that doesn't make sense. We don't have our leaders, our covering, setting that example.
Yeah.
We have them saying, we're going to bear this all on our own.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to, so not going to go deep in that today. Just saying it is flat out connected again. God, that's irritating already.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we'll try.
We'll just go with it.
It is just directly tied to whether I think we've made that connection, whether or not we've made it. When the men in our lives, especially our husbands, or if we even witnessed our fathers not being willing to admit to vulnerability, to admit for their need for the Lord, to admit their need for other men,
right?
That kind of keeps women also from being able to operate. If I can't have the men come over with my husband and they're out there doing something, then I could invite women over on another day. Is it the same? For some crazy reason, it's not the same.
No.
There is something also that your children will see by the two of you operating that way.
Yep.
Also, whether it's with that actual household project, whatever it is, the actual barn, or if it's just doing life, having your kids see. I think, when we talk about men didn't have the vocabulary and the cycle was just keeping up. We're just saying we're perpetuating that cycle, teaching the next generation, all you need is bacon.
Yeah.
This is the way that's going to stop.
Yeah.
Is you may be, like you're saying, not perfect. You're not doing it all well. You're still learning. But if your children see you and your wife together, exposing that to others that they trust, that sets up a safe place for them to start learning that vocabulary and doing it themselves.
That is the hope. That was one of the things that I realized where I was actually falling the most short in my parenting, is that I wasn't affording. I was parenting out of my lack. So I was teaching the kids to be strong. You want to be
Suck
doing
it up.
Yeah. And life's not easy, and and it's and you pat them on the back, but you just you power through and everything. But I didn't know how to teach them to say, you got to talk about where it hurts. You got to talk about where the struggles are. You got to talk about what's going on inside.
Yeah.
You have to talk about the things that are scary, and to do that, they have to feel safe. And if you're never vulnerable with them, if they don't understand the vulnerability, if we don't normalize vulnerability, they're not going to learn it, because they're surrounded by the same environment that we are, the social media impregnated world that just seems to touch everything. And there is no vulnerability. It doesn't exist. It's all look at me and I'm amazing. It's a world of influencers. Just do what I do, how I do it. And you can be cool like me. But they don't talk about very few. There are some.
There's some self-aware ones.
Yeah, there's some extremely rare. There's some anomalies out there. But by and large, what they're going to see is a world where vulnerability doesn't exist.
Even now, as you're talking, and I think you're saying vulnerability as much as I'm saying connection today. So we're even there,
right?
Keeping score. Just kidding. Every time you say vulnerability, I classify it as a feminine word.
Yeah.
It is so ingrained again that, it's no matter how much I can say, men need to be vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with vulnerability.
Yeah.
I myself still hear it in a feminine context.
Yeah. I understand that. And I would challenge anyone listening to this to think about the vulnerability of the Lord. Okay. Think about the vulnerability of Jesus. Okay. When he was literally so vulnerable and he was trying to get his disciples to pray with him ahead of his crucifixion. He was so stressed out and so undone that the human side of him was literally sweating blood. Okay. That he asked his Father if there was an alternative way. Can this cup pass from me? Okay. Because he does not want to go through with this. Okay. He did it because that was the way, that was the plan, that was what needed to happen. But he was vulnerable, and he showed that when he came into the temple and started flipping tables. He was angry, but that was also an air of vulnerability because he was demonstrating that he was upset. Righteously so. Okay.
There's absolutely nothing put in the word by chance. And it's, to me, as you're speaking, I'm like, you know what? He even allowed that in there for us to see and relate to later.
Yeah.
Even I, because it could have been left out.
Yeah.
He could have chosen to gloss it over. He could have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kept it quiet. But instead, right here, for anybody who chooses to read, I'm going to show you. Yeah. Even I was like, I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to walk through this. I don't want to show that I do feel emotions. I don't want,
No, the Lord, Jesus is an emotional person. He created us that way. For us to have emotions, that we were created in his image. He has emotions. To box them up is to deny a part of who he created us to be. Men experience emotions differently and for different reasons and different purposes than perhaps women, but it's still the same emotions. That's where we get good balance. That's why it's good for us. That's why it's good for men to have a wife. Okay. And it's good for a woman to have a husband. It's good. We bring balance to one another. We were created to be together. Okay. It doesn't always work out, that way. But that's where you rely more on the Lord. You have to, but by design, I mean,
we were created to be a complete
picture
along with the Lord. Yeah.
So
I see it. I was watching, I think it was something with the Gottmans recently.
The doctors, Gottman.
The doctors, the experts.
Yes.
And it was, and something within it, could not even say that I'm saying this, repeating it verbatim, but it was, men get angry and go in protection mode. And they tend to have blood pressure go up, and they tend to, just seem to women to kind of fly off the handle. It's like you feel out of control.
Yeah.
God created that. So then you would be protecting out there.
Yes.
Yours is so strong in a volatile reaction at times because it's meant to kind of be projected out to the territory and maintain boundaries. What you will see happen with women is when we feel threatened and our anger response is instead trying to protect the interior, the relationship, the connections, the environment, the space. And so we each are like, wow, you're being too much by trying to go after those people. And he's like, you're worried too much about our relationship when everything else needs to be dealt with.
The world is falling apart. There's not going to be
a place
time to have a relationship.
No, there's not time or place for that. We will deal with that after I go protect all this.
Yes.
And she's like, well, while you're doing all that, we really need to make sure this doesn't blow up at the same time. And so it's this thing of recognizing, again, we're going to go back to vulnerability. It's this thing of now we're switching it from, we've been talking about men need to be vulnerable. We need to go back and both of y'all need to get to a place of vulnerability of saying, I recognize God created you that way. I'm not going to try to fix it.
Yeah.
I say we haven't, you were just talking about men and women bringing balance if they're doing this the right way. So it's like, how is I, as a woman who have witnessed that too many times as threatening behavior, sometimes if it's not handled correctly, it is threatening behavior.
Yeah.
But if a man is submitting to the Lord and operating in his God-given role of protector of all this stuff, then if I can see that for what it is and honor it, and then he can then see that what I'm doing is not getting in the way of what he's doing, because you kind of want something left to protect.
Yeah.
At the end. I don't know, that whole picture just came up of like, I think some of I was talking about the truth bomb earlier. I think we're handling things wrong. I think what I'm ultimately trying to explain here is, again, we're both called to, God made us. We're called to operate in a certain way.
Yeah.
And if we can recognize that we're both called to operate in unity. We actually heard a message not too long ago in church where the pastor said we're to operate in unity, but not necessarily unison.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this like, I'm sorry, I don't want to go off on a tangent that gets kind of confusing. It just kind of clicked for me that it comes down to both of us being submitted to the Lord, answering that question that you talked about. What thoughts does he have for me? What plans does he have for me? How did he create me? Recognizing that's going to be different for men and women.
Yeah.
And then going on to say, if you will operate in your position the way God called you to, and I honor that.
Yes.
And I operate in the position he called me to, and you honor that.
Yes.
Look at what can happen.
Amazing things. The big struggles that happen there is when we're operating out of balance for a long time. You understand this because you're familiar with mechanics and different things.
Oh, all of it. I know all of it.
But if you have two tires that are out of balance or out of alignment at all, you're going to wind up scalloping those tires and different things. Okay. If you put it back.
Quite a rough ride.
Right?
Yeah.
If you get it back in balance, okay, you can wear back out some of those wear patterns. Now, people are different than tires. We certainly can work on our minds and redo our neuro pathways our minds have ongoing plasticity. They can
go read a Caroline Leaf book. There you go.
Exactly. So we can, we can develop new habits, but the problem is our responses are very, very ingrained because they happen out of what we have experienced. Our responses do. So if we have a long-standing experience of a nagging wife or a disconnected husband, then when something does happen and you're trying to do new things, new ways, and it doesn't come off that way, the most familiar thing when you get under pressure is to go back to what's familiar and not to forge new, uncharted, unknown ground. And that's what our minds go back to. But then we're looking for, so you're not really any different. So you're still doing it the same way.
So let's say, based on the conversation we've been having, let's say, okay, just like in your instance, a man decides to do the behind the scenes hard work.
It's excruciating, by the way.
And, sometimes God is really funny in that he will call you to a season where you're both doing it at the same time in your marriage. And that's really fun. And now you are at that place where you recognize, hey, we've got tires that are completely worn down in bad places, our alignment's out, all this stuff, but we're going to put new tires on.
Right.
How do we now go forward and not repeat the same cycle? So you just said we have those familiar places we go to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have the answer or if it's just going to be channeled through your amazing, very, very intelligent wife here.
Yeah.
But what's that first step to now say, we're going to do this different, and I don't want to recognize you as the old?
So there has to be an understanding, and Dean and I have this, and we still, we'll get off track, but we have things where I am going to ask this, I'm going to say that, and we repeat, are you saying this? And it almost sounds like to me, it never has to her. I've asked her. I was like, doesn't that feel demeaning when I say, I'm hearing you say this? Well, if you would just listen to what I'm saying, you would know.
We have that happen in our marriage. Yeah.
So, and so I'm very concerned with that, that when I say, I'm hearing you say this. My mentor, he started that. He said, this is what you need to say. And I'm like, I came to you for help.
You're doing it too.
Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy. It's actually phenomenally beneficial. It's not the answer to everything, but it really does help normalize and it demonstrates to the other person that I'm trying to do this differently. It's not perfectly smooth. It's not. It's a dirty, messy process. But if the real submission there, the unity comes from the mutually submitted wills to going, all right, we're working on new processes and new procedures and new ways of communicating with one another, and opening up those previously inaccessible areas, those hidden areas, whatever it may be. And it's not easy. And,
I was about to say, it's almost like you're choosing to over communicate for a while.
Completely.
And, I don't know if it's a personality thing. I don't know if it's a gender thing. There are some people that find just comfort in a little extra communication. Let's make sure we're on the same page. See, other people can feel very irate. Like, you've already said this. I got it.
Right.
We don't need to say it again.
There's a difference between overstating. There's a difference between mansplaining.
Yeah.
God, that's so annoying. I'm sorry y'all have to put up with that. Do you know what mansplaining is? Oh, sorry.
It's my favorite.
So let me tell you what it is.
I want to say it's the one time. Oh, no, that would be a total lie. It's not the one time. It is very common when that happens for many bad words to want to come out of my mouth. Like, that's just, I'm like, nope. Yes, got it. Okay, thank you.
So, and I would wholly endorse that. If you ever need, you're like, I just went off on this guy. Yeah, cool.
It's mansplaining.
Yeah,
like, he
absolutely.
deserved it.
He deserved it. But there is over communication. There doesn't need to be nagging, and it doesn't need it. Everything that when it happens, it needs to be kind, and it needs to bear the heart of the Lord. And if you are seeing the other person through lenses where you see the other person as insufficient or not, honey, if you have that, or if the wife is like, dumb guy,
you're not going to want to hear what they have to say, especially a second time.
It comes out. The nonverbals, 80% of our communication is conducted through nonverbals. Okay, that's why texting and emails are such broken ways of communication. Voice to voice is great. That's why we feel so uncomfortable face to face when we need to communicate hard things. So that's a tremendous amount of communication that goes literally without saying. But all of those incorrect lenses and different things, they show up in the nonverbals. And I've had to learn, because I would sit there and Dina would say stuff and it would challenge me and it would get annoying. And
it's like your face.
Yeah.
The way your face just looked at me. Yes. They're like, what are you talking about? The way my face just looked at you. You made that expression. I know you're not happy with me. And regardless of what was coming out of your mouth. I'm as we're talking, I can do several things at once. I'm so sorry. You do have my full attention, but I am also going, how is all this coming together from everything we've gone through today? And I think what I want to encourage listeners, for my part, is going to be especially the women. If you're walking alongside a man that is going through this process, to relearn, maybe you're at the phase of relearning. And I want to say that is really, really discouraging at times. Yeah. When you're like, hey, we've done all this work. We both have admitted we've got those tires worn down. We need to go down a different way. But then you find yourself trapped in that cycle of all the familiar every time the pressure comes up. And lately it feels like there's pressure everywhere, These are like the practical steps, is where we've now gone to this this part of the conversation is, yes, it will take some, let's call it extra communicating. I don't even want to call it over now, because right now that's putting it back in a negative light. It is let me repeat it back to you what you said and give you the chance to tell me if I didn't get that right. The next thing is, like you were just saying, if you're looking at them through a lens, and maybe that lens is justifiable. You know what I'm saying? You can say, oh, well, we've had all the times and the patterns that prove why this is justifiable for me to protect myself, and look at you like, of course, you're going to do it wrong.
The longer you're together, the more instances you have to justify. And
so there is, you have an opportunity. It definitely takes the Lord. It definitely takes the fruit of the Holy Spirit of self-control. It's that choosing to look at that person with them having the best intentions. If you assume they have the best intentions, and hang on to the knowledge that they will not live up to it every time. But if you look at them like they are showing up to do their best, now be fair, show up to do your best.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like this
Yeah.
requires that. But for me, it's like that tackling your perspective, whether it's been earned or not, is one of the definitive markers in how this is going to turn out.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, one person going through a new process, okay, and trying to relearn things, that's good, okay, but when it's a married couple and now the husband's trying to do things different, well, the wife, she has to hear things differently, you know, and it's hard. And so the moment you want to go, well, this is this old thing, and when you used to say this, it means this. It's a really hard thing, and it's like, I know I'm trying so hard and so much differently. You can wind up shutting the other person off, and I mean, perseverance or not, and desire or not to be different and be better and change and break ways and build new habits, it can get undermined in a hurry, and you don't even mean to.
That's one of my notes I have back here. I had a question. I said, let me see. I said, a woman can play a role in building a man up. You'll hear be a king builder in the kingdom, you know.
Right.
But is her ability to tear him down equal or greater than that to her ability to to build him up? Like, I feel like it's this easy to tear him down and takes this much work to build him up.
Yeah. That's accurate. A woman can undo any progress that a man is making in a heartbeat.
So hard.
Yeah, it is. And now men don't do themselves a lot of favors, but that's where a man really has to align himself with the Lord and get his feedback from him. That has to be his primary source of feedback. If his primary source of feedback is his wife, he's asking for problems because she's human too. And if he's been unhealthy, it puts her in an unhealthy situation, period, whether she wants to be the most healthy person or not. If all he's bringing is fast food desires to the house, then that's what they have is the fast food relationship. And
even if he shows up and he says, now I'm ready to be the man that wants to make that full meal, you're like,
it's still
we've been eating McDonald's. Not allowed to say McDonald's.
Malnourished.
We don't even know what that looks like or how to handle it or prepare it.
Right.
You know,
And so there's a proclivity there for, you know, I'm trying to do this thing, and then the wife to just undo it. She doesn't mean to. She's human too.
But to me, that goes back to wives. Here's your part.
Right.
There's those truth bombs.
Right.
There's that thing of, should you hand it to him?
Right.
Should you pray that God hands it to him directly? Should you, there takes a lot of discernment.
The greatest thing that can help combat that I don't want to say imbalance of power, but it's a sensitive thing. It's, you know, it's like, you know, walking on eggshells, you know, kind of, but if you're constantly reaffirming and noticing, I don't care how little it is. I don't care how minuscule it is, but you notice an improvement, you know, say something.
You're just
you did
gutting me right now.
You did that differently. I see it.
Yeah.
I see that. I heard the tone difference. You know, you interacted with the kids and you weren't angry. You used a feeling word. Okay. It's not.
That's not demeaning.
No, but if there's an agreement and the husband and the wife know, okay, and the man's like, I am trying to be better. You know, it's the same thing, and it builds you so much up on the inside, but it's the same thing. The husband's going to the gym for a little while, you know, pants fitting a little bit better, shirt's a little bit tighter in the right places and not in the wrong places, you know, and it's like, just
say it.
Yeah. Just say it. Yeah. And just say, even if you're not doing anything more than honoring the commitment that they're making by getting up and going to the gym.
So what do you say to the women who are going to come back with, I don't want to encourage him because then there's bad behaviors elsewhere? Aren't we having fun today?
Yes, absolutely. So that may be, you know, why does that happen? You know, okay, so there's an imbalance somewhere.
But as I just asked you that, I'm like, but aren't we in turn asking the Lord to do the same for us?
Right.
I mean, aren't I, female, wife, going to the Lord and going, hey, I only got like this tiny thing right today. I'm messing up everything else. But will you comfort me? Will you encourage me, Lord?
Mhm.
Will you remind me that you made me and I'm good? That tomorrow can be better. There are new mercies every morning. Can you come in and do that for me?
Yeah.
And then we're going to turn to our spouse and say, I'm going to withhold.
Yeah.
I'm going to withhold encouragement, comfort, any of it.
Yeah.
Validation, any of it, until you're 100% across the board getting it all right.
Okay. So this is what I would say. And it starts with the man. If you're not connecting with the Lord regularly, if you're not learning what he has for you, if you're not cultivating your relationship with him, if he's not your primary source of spiritual nutrition, of internal health and emotional and mental stability, okay, don't ask for it from your wife. You're out of line. All right. If you haven't connected to the Lord and spent time praying with him, okay, don't ask for sex. That's the innermost intimate. That is the thing. All right. I'm not trying to get freaky and say that,
well, I almost picture it as you're showing up without your armor on in all these situations.
Don't ask for something that you're not giving, that you're not investing in yourself. Okay. If you're not investing in your own intimacy with the Lord, okay,
don't ask for it elsewhere.
Don't put it on your wife to make you feel like you've experienced some type of intimate connection. All right. No, that's not a thing. The same token, as a wife, if you're not seeking from the Lord, okay, or you're not willing, if you're sitting over there, tell me that I did good here and tell me that I did good there. And even though I messed up everything, you still tell me that I did. If you're not willing to do that for your husband, don't ask that from the Lord.
Ooh. Oh, you're fun. You're a great guest, but you're I'm walking out of here like, oh, that hurt and that hurt in a good way. And, it's so needed. And it's needed for many. I cannot go to a coffee place. I can't sit in church where I can hear women speaking. I mean, obviously in the ministry that I'm involved in, I'm hearing a lot of women speak. And these are the things we need to hear point blank. Yeah. If you are not, you're saying on your side of it as a man, if you're not willing to go to the Lord about it, don't ask for it from your wife. But then on the flip side, wives, if you're not willing to do it for your husband, don't be asking it from the Lord. I'm going to have to take that apart. So, not today. Just like that's one I'm going to have to be, chewing on a little bit because
it brings us each to a place of vulnerability and things that aren't comfortable, because it takes us away from all the places that we get to hide. Because as long as we get to go, well, they're not, or she won't, he won't give that to me, or okay. If we each will bow the knee to the Lord, all right, one, we have to ask him for a lot less if we bring ourselves to him first. If we'll say, here I am, I love you, okay? If we will seek him first, if we'll Matthew 6:33, all the other things start to fall into place. But if we're not seeking him first, we can't put everything else in line and then seek him, or expect that our relationship with the Lord will be bolstered once our relationship with our spouse is. No. And it could be a rough and rocky season while you're getting things ironed out with the Lord, okay? But until that's in order, and that doesn't mean perfect, okay? That just means that we are actively working on this, okay? And you have been. Until you're at that place, don't put it on your spouse to somehow make you feel better about yourself or what you're doing or anything else, or to placate you. Be doing good things for yourself with the Lord. Nurture yourself with what he has, and the other stuff starts to fall in place. If it's not, okay, then you have to ask yourself what's going on. Like, so if there's some type of deep resistance, okay, so a man is he's investing in himself. He's working on his health. He's because the Lord says, hey, you need to eat better. You need to do this. Okay. Let's spend some more time with me. Okay. We're doing that. I want you to start opening up to men a little bit more and cultivating those relations. Okay. And all of these things are happening. And if the wife is still like, there's still this barrier of you can only get so close. Well, okay, now why?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is, well, because it's been unsafe for so long,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, that's the very thing that you're wanting from the husband is the vulnerability that makes all these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're not being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's out of balance. You have to bring the vulnerability too. You have to come to those. You have to come to those.
You have to
places.
be willing to risk it again.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I can honestly say from experience, that is a very hard thing to do, because you're not only, some people like me, I've had a relationship with the Lord since I was 5 years old. Yeah. Like, we're good.
Absolutely.
He's my safe place, and then, but I've got to walk this earth with other humans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Lord, I trust you with anything and everything, but you're asking me to once again, that is a hard space, not only for me, for many wives are like, in all of this, it kind of goes into everything we've talked about today. We're so aware from the very beginning when we've witnessed that, there's a projection of men that's not true.
Yeah.
And we could see right through it, so we were sitting there going, wait, this isn't real. But, we might not be taken seriously if we say anything about it. We're just nagging wives who don't want our husbands to go fishing, Right. And then it goes into, okay, now, because we've walked out a lifetime, it could be with dads, it could be with other family members, it could be a boyfriend, a husband, whatever it is. We've walked out now the product of that falsehood. We've been wounded in the process. Yep. We were then handed the falsehood that the way to overcome that is be powerful on your own. Yep. Don't need that man.
Right.
Yes. So we have a falsehood to now.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
That really is.
And then you now go, oh, but we want to have this relationship with our dad, or we want to have this relationship with our husband that is lined out from a place of health and from what God intended. And navigating all of that. Yep. And I just now realized the camera may not see my hands coming down here. She's like, what is she doing behind them? Okay. Navigating all of that is painful. Yep. And there's no way to get through it without the possibility of more hurt incurring.
No, absolutely not.
There's just,
The Lord never said it wouldn't be painful. He never said it would be, it wouldn't be hard. He never said it would be easy. He just said he would be with us. Mm-hmm. And the closer we cling to him, especially, in a marriage relationship,
in that triangle,
the good old triangle, where each submitted to the Lord, the closer you are to him by maintaining the geometry of a triangle, it forces the husband and wife together.
Yeah.
The tighter you are to him, it naturally pulls you together. It makes that triangle that much tighter.
I was listening to something the other day that was talking about, we walk around saying, we were who we really were when we were single, and we're losing ourselves in a relationship. And the challenge that the person was bringing to this thought was, no, you weren't who you really were when you were single. Yeah. You are actually who you are. Yeah. That's being exposed and pulled out and poked, and and so it's this thing of the fear that if I keep walking down this path and trust that there's healing, and that trust that if I stay in my position in the triangle, that I'm going to end up closer. We have, as women, the voice that says, don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if God is in it, and even if your husband isn't perfect, I'm going to even take this outside of marriage and go, well, even if you have a dad in your life that's not perfect, but if you have any of these men that are showing up saying, I want to learn better, I don't want it to stay this way. My husband had the revelation the other day, you don't have to end up where you started out. Right. And God is really talking to him through that. And so we've just been kind of looking at that. And I'm like, if I want to not end up where I started out in any area, then I'm going to have to be willing to admit I might get hurt again.
Yeah.
I might have bumps in the road. This isn't going to look perfect. It's not going to be fixed overnight. There's not going to be new things to learn and unlearn in this journey. And it's all about, I guess, just ultimately surrendering.
Yeah. I've seen Dina come to that place time and time again. That's one of the things that's kind of when I woke up as a person, and I still get it wrong so frequently, but it's like hurting her now and seeing and having heard her experience of what it was like to live with me in some really dark times. It's like, I really don't want to do that. That's not who I want to be. In some ways it's who I still am, because I'm still working on things, but it just carries a whole lot more. Oh, that's not what I want to do.
You understand the cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's the whole thing. I thought empathy and sympathy were, interchangeable. Thought they were synonyms. I did not know that there was something different there. And anytime Dina would say something, how I had hurt her or something like this, I would try to lay up some big, oh, I'm so sorry. This just crushes me to hear and whatnot. And it seems kind of valiant, because it's like, oh, let me fall on the sword.
But no, she's got to comfort you for hurting her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one of the first things that she ever acknowledged in me, when I started the process, she said, that's different. And it made me just want to try to keep finding things to change within reason. But we had some kind of dust up and I didn't fall on the sword. And she was like,
what does it look like when you don't fall on the sword?
You listen to what she says and you acknowledge what she says.
I mean, is it like a taking ownership?
You're like,
or is it?
Yeah. That's that's the primary component, but there's no defense, and there's no defense. You never turn that spotlight back to you. And that's really hard for me, because the heart behind it was, look at my heart. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But I haven't even gotten to fully explain what you did to me.
The sentence I wrote down last week was, we spend a lot of time looking at intention, but not our impact.
Yeah.
And it's like, ow. And we're putting this, I mean, the highlight today, I'm thankful that you're being vulnerable, that you're sharing your journey, but some of this is very specific to a man, but yet let's switch it over to a woman also. Yeah. Like if the man came to her, you hurt me with this. Oh, but I can explain it like this. Oh, but you did it, so I did it back. That sort of thing. Yeah. There's something that can happen if we're both willing there to sit there and just say, I see that I hurt you. I did that. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Yeah. I'm also a person, I don't know if you've ever heard of the, we've got the 5 love languages, which I still to this day struggle with. Maybe they're perfection. I struggle with them. But I do love that they offer up what's called your apology type. And so in taking the apology type quiz and discovering, my husband needs a, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? Yeah. That's all he needs. I need, I'm sorry. Yeah. I take responsibility. Yeah. And I see, I'm so extra, and I see what that did to you. I acknowledge it impacted you. Yeah. And so it's this thing of how we've said several times today, how far would we go if this was in place? Yeah. This is just one more thing. Well, I'm going to try to wrap it up unless you have some thoughts that I don't want to.
No.
Okay. I, just wrapping it up today, my takeaway is we recognize that this lie that men have been handed, that this is all there is. This is all that, if you check all these boxes, you'll be complete. You'll be everything that you think you're supposed to be. Yep. We've talked about, we really need to be asking the Lord, how does he see us? Yeah. What's his thoughts are, to even begin to ask, are we living up to that? Yeah. Recognize that we cannot without him. Yeah. That's actually the best place to be, is when you come to face with that and you say, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm not enough. Yeah. I need you. And then we switched over to really looking at this, somehow this like shows up in marriage. And it is really sometimes, I think, unfair, but it's God's design. It really does take a guy going first.
It has to be. That's the order. That's the order. Yeah. And that's why that's you if the guy doesn't go first, okay, then repair can't start. So in my own journey, Dina kept refining herself. The problem with that is that maturity wise and just cultivation wise, relationship with the Lord wise, we're starting to pull apart. Because she's doing the work and going one direction, and you're staying and here. I was completely stagnant. Yeah. And are you really stagnant, or are you actually regressing? And really that's what's going on. You're atrophying. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, it's when you sit in a hospital bed, and you don't use it. Well, bed sores happen. Muscle wasting happens. That's a real thing. Yeah. Man has to go first. Yeah. Absolutely. And there we could get into a whole laundry list of things there.
We can always come back for part 2.
There we go. But the husband has to be going first. And I think the only thing I would add to it is, we've said a lot of things of, okay, this is the recipe for success, if you will. We've given some key ingredients of what success looks like. Just because you put those elements in place doesn't mean that success is going to happen. Or like you said, Lord, with a woman trying to draw closer to the Lord, that's naturally going to pull the husband. No. Okay.
No, she's trying to drag him sometimes.
It will get out of further
by the hair,
out of balance. Yes. Yeah. But so I can't say everything's going to be okay and your husband will change and this, that, and the other. No. I can say if you're closer to the Lord, you're literally closer to the Lord, and He can hold you closer
and it can't
in the
hurt
storm
for you to be closer to the Lord. Because I'm going to add to that, someone will say, I don't want to keep growing and refining and moving this way because then the distance, I'm lonely. I feel uncovered. I'd rather stay back here with Him and let's just both atrophy together. Yeah. So no, like you said, go ahead and get closer to the Lord. That's never going to cause you any harm. It may make you feel lonelier with your husband.
Yes.
You might as well get comfortable with that. Yep. But in those seasons, I can guarantee the closeness of the Lord will trump the loneliness.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make it go away. It's okay to acknowledge it. It's okay to be like, I want both.
Yeah, because then you have no safety.
Yes.
You've retracted from your safety, from your safe harbor.
Yeah.
From the covering that you do have.
So it's just this, we were trying to wrap it up and we added more nuggets.
That,
No, it's all good. I love it. So just that's the, maybe today listeners walk away encouraged, enlightened, maybe realigning your questions. We're replacing your questions. Yep. Maybe you've been asking the wrong question all this time. So anyways, but no, thanks again. And I think we could do a part 2. And
whenever you're ready.
We will see you next time.
All right.